This is Alistair Coburn talking about a small theory of collaborative mental work, including, of course, but not restricted to software. We're talking about trust and communication at this point, and what I've got here is a graph that's going to have on the vertical axis. The thing that we're interested in is the I'm going to say communication efficiency, effectiveness. I'm going to say the effectiveness of the communication, right? It could be efficiency, it could be effectiveness. I'm not 100% sure what the difference would be, but let's take a look at that. There are actually two graphs to put on here, and the basic graph looks like this. And I'm gonna draw it this way. I've drawn it different ways at different times, and I'm gonna draw it that way. And the key thing about this one is that this one is when we have real-time question and answer. All right, let's say, so you are with somebody else and in a situation where you can interrupt each other and you can ask each other questions. So what we've got at the top up here is my favorite thing, which is two people at the whiteboard. So what happens with two people at the whiteboard is you have a lot of different, and I'm going to put on the horizontal axis, I didn't label it, but I'm going to put on here the richness of the communication channels, And this becomes important. They also call it some people also call it, warm over here and cool over there. This has been studied fairly heavily over the decades. This just happens to be my graphical drawing of it. And when you have two people at the whiteboard up here, what happens is they can interrupt each other. When you're talking to someone at the whiteboard, you have real-time question and answer. As you're talking, you're watching the other person's face. And you decide mid-sentence to change the words you were going to do because you're watching their face. They might step forward a little bit to indicate that they want to interrupt you or something. They might step back because they're in disbelief that things show up on their face. And similarly, your face is expressing things. They're reading your lips. They're watching your expression. They're watching your eyes. And so you have all these communication channels. You have proximity cues, how far you are away from it. You have facial expressions. You got vocal intonation that indicates certain things. You've got the whiteboard, and the whiteboard acts as a time machine. So you draw something on the whiteboard, you can refer back to an earlier part of the conversation. You point back at it. You have timing across modalities. You've got, you might draw exactly as I'm doing. You might draw and then underline something or speak while you're drawing, exactly as I'm doing here. So you get all this information. Some people even include smell. So you have all of these multiple communication channels in motion at the same time. It is the richest communication experience that I happen to be aware of. Now what happens is, as you move away to almost anything, right? You could go to a video chat over here. You could go to you could go to a phone call over here, and you could go to a text chat, way down here. Actually, the phone chat is going to be down here somewhere. I would say. Let me just cross that one out. So what happens is you go down this curve. As you go away from two people at the whiteboard, you lose communication channels. So if you have a video chat, you haven't got the same proximity information, you haven't got smell, you don't have the really, really high resolution view of the other person, three-dimensional, that you do when you're actually in the same room. It's not bad, but you're losing things. You haven't got the global view, you can't get step closer, you can't touch the whiteboard yourself, you can't kind of poke at them like that. When you go to the phone, you lose all the cross-modality timings, you lose the facial expressions, you lose the ability to point backwards in time, you lose the ability to speak while you're drawing. You still have vocal intonation, so you get vocal inflection, and that communicates a lot about warmth and safety. And when you go to a text chat, you lose all of those. You could still ask a question, but you've lost all of the safety, the side channels that give you safety inside the communication. So this is like the down, gets less and less efficient, less and less effective. Now there's a second a curve that I happen to draw a little bit overlapped on this, which is a little bit confusing maybe, but I happen to draw it this way. And that is if you actually have no question and answer. There's no question and answer there. Now it can be because you're separated in time zones. You can't quite get there. You're separated in different countries. Somebody's not present in the room and they come back and they're trying to catch up here. What then would be the equivalent of those? And let's see if I've got this nice purple here. And so that would be a video discussion. I have to put a videoed discussion there. You take a video of the discussion, you have a video discussion. So now you have two people at the whiteboard. One person's asking questions, the other person's answering them. They're pointing at the whiteboard. The person asking the question is really acting as an ombudsman for the future viewer, asking those questions, getting the clarification. It's very rich, highly recommended. Past court cases for valid documentation. Absolutely the first thing to go through. Very useful if you're working in different time zones. You have a discussion, you put it on your disk. The other people pick up the video, they can look at it, they can send you back. All right? Now, and you go back and you have messages, right? You get voice messages here, right? And then what is the worst in terms of efficiency of all of the different ways of doing it? And guess what that is? That's paper. This includes, electronic stuff, Word documents, PowerPoints, and so on. When you do paper, you've pretty much lost everything. You lost the ability to ask questions, you lost the vocal inflection, you lost the cross-modality timing, you lost, pretty much all of the ways that we use to enrich the communication. So it's kind of aberrant that now still at this time, people are still using paper. Now that doesn't mean paper isn't useful. Every one of these has a utility value somewhere. Each one of them has a use. But that's not about the effectiveness. So paper's good because it sits there and you can take it home and you can read it at night and read it in the morning and double check it like that. All of these things that are archival, and I'll put under here archival, these are all archived. You can go back and dig after them. There's a reason we use text chat. There's a reason we use voice messages, because that allows asynchronous communication. We don't have to be in the same place. So this is a very, very rich diagram. And if we're talking about trust and communication and you say, oh, we'll just do a video chat, that's as good as being in person. I'm afraid not. Two people at the whiteboard, even at this time with all of our technology, still comes at the top. However, technology is your friend. If you can't get to that, technology is your friend to help you move up the curve. Video chats, they've got these little kind of iPads on a mobile roller coaster, rolling thing, that you can actually be present in a conversation. You can have the video of the person. You lose something, but technology is your friend for moving up the curve. Super important. This will affect trust, communication, moving ideas between minds, finding mistakes, building community, all of these things. A little bit contentious in the current days where everybody wants to be remote, but that's what the theory says. Alistair with a small theory of collaborative mental work.